Welcome to the show, guys. Got an exciting one here for you. In front of me, I've got a top 10 Conchipsis ESPN running back list. The rankings came out, these early rankings or whatever you want to call them, were out on the Instagram page of one of the ESPN NFL pages, and it had a lot of comments, a lot of engagement. I wanted to weigh in on this because it's very important to hear the truth, okay? Because sometimes the truth hurts, but it's important to hear the truth. And that's what I'm going to lay out here for you, because every single year these guys lie to you, okay? At their failed attempt of trying to make sure you guys have the proper rankings. Now, first and foremost, as a disclaimer, you never ever draft off rankings, but that's what everybody does. A lot, actually not a lot, all of the sites where you host your leagues are all based on ADP and on rankings, okay? If you draft based on rankings, you will lose. I'll give you a quick example, okay? Last year, everybody told you Rashad Penny was ranked ahead of Walker. So naturally, 99.999% of people that drafted saw Penny on the board and were tempted to take him ahead of Walker. If you got my 16-round draft solution, which is the solution which actually helps you win, if you got that, you were aware that you knew and you were going to know and anticipate that Penny was going to go down. Walker was drafted in the second round. He was going to take over that job either way, injury or not, okay? That's exactly what happened. So I was telling everybody, make sure you guys get Walker, avoid Penny. Another example, Jonathan Taylor. Everyone told you draft him as a top pick. I said, no. Pinnacle season, 18 some odd touchdowns, astronomical numbers. He will fail. Something will happen. He will not finish as a number one. Draft a Henry ahead of him. Make sure you get a SAQUON BARKLEY in the first round. SAQUON was outside the top 10 on all rankings, okay? So everybody kind of faded him. He fell to the second round. I said, hey, if he's there at the end of first round, grab him, okay? And sure enough, he finished top 5. So again, guys, rankings don't help you. I can sit here all day and go over this, okay? Tyler Algier, nobody talked about it. He was ranked 150 some odd overall. It was ridiculous. Nobody even talked. He was undrafted. And then they come back and say it's a waiver wire wonder. So the point of this video, guys, I want to review the rankings here, which I'm going to put up here on the screen, because, again, it made me want to puke in my mouth, and I want to explain why. Let's go over this, okay? Because it's literally copy and paste. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys are subscribed. Smash a thumbs up. It does help the channel. Let's reveal the truth to more people. So hit that thumbs up and drop a comment below. Let me know what you think of the Conchipsis rankings. And a lot of people are going to ask me, well, Joe, how would you rank this? Okay? I've got some generic rankings on my site as placeholders, but everything is in the 16-round draft solution. So I give you all the optimal players to draft in each round, omitting the people that I wouldn't draft. For example, last year, I said, Taylor, don't draft him in the first top 4 picks. He's recommended, but be aware, okay? Because the decline's coming. Cooper Kupp, be aware, decline's coming. Michael Thomas years ago had that big year in, 2019, 2020. The year after, he busted, right? Because these guys come off pinnacle years and they have that decline year, right? So you got to be aware. So I give you all the optimal players drafted in each round. Get the 16-round draft solution. That is how you draft. You draft based on optimal players drafted in each round, omitting guys that could be in for a regression or are going to fail. And I do a lot and all of that research for you guys, okay? So get 16 rounds. There's a link here below. Head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com for the truth. All right, so let's dive into this, guys. I have to give you guys some context before I just dive into just going into analyzing this. So as you can see here, Austin Ekeler is the number 1. Now, I want to make a note here. Austin Ekeler was a backup for years, okay? There's a reason, multiple reasons, that the Chargers won't pay him a mega contract. The guy's 28 years old, okay? 28 years old, came into the league as a backup. I don't know what round he was drafted, and it must have been like the 4th, 5th round. Either way, he was not a top prospect coming in. Okay, not like a guy like Zeke Elliott that came into the league and immediately took that spot from whoever it was ahead of him, DeMarco Murray, whoever it was, okay? Ekeler came in as a backup, couldn't even beat a subpar Melvin Gordon, finally got the starting job and was in very lucky. It's one of those things where for Ekeler, the stars aligned, okay? He had kind of like that perfect storm. Last year, particularly, the wide receivers got hurt. When the wide receivers get hurt, especially like a Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, you're 1 and 2, you got to throw the ball to somebody. Ekeler just happens to be a pass-catching scat back who was a beneficiary of the targets that were void, that were missing, right? Because there wasn't wide receiver. So those targets are now going to Ekeler, is what I'm trying to say. So he benefited significantly last year. The Chargers don't want to pay him Because if you look at a guy like Zeke Elliott at 28, he's done. You saw the decline. He's washed up. Running backs, you can get guys in the 4th round, right? 3rd round, 2nd round in NFL drafts that could come out and do a better job than Austin Ekeler, okay? So Austin Ekeler right now, again, looking at the rankings, he's sitting at number 1. This is a direct copy and paste from last year. Okay, they're not factoring in the fact that the wide receivers are hurt. Different offense. You know, he might play bitter if they don't pay him. I don't know what the Chargers are going to do. He might end up on a different team. This is strictly based on last year. This is wrong. Austin Ekeler will finish outside the top 10. He'll either get hurt or he's going to have a significant decline. He had a Cinderella season last year. It's not going to happen. Austin Ekeler will fail this year. I assure you he will fail. He's not a true workhorse running back. And that's the thing. He never was. So, when you are looking at a guy like Austin Ekeler, there's no way I have him at number 1. Okay, so I would tell you in 16 rounds, you could draft Ekeler. I'm personally going to fade him for the reasons that I said, okay? Second guy here. Again, this is not my list. This was put up by ESPN NFL on their Instagram page, okay? By one of their consensus analysts. I'm not sure who it was. Okay? Second one here, Christian McCaffrey. All right, Christian McCaffrey. You look at 2020 and 2021. What did he do? He played a combined, you guys ready for this? A combined 10 games in 2 seasons. That's it. That is what he played for 2 seasons. So when I look at a guy like Christian McCaffrey, I look at a guy that's blown his load, meaning this guy was good back in, 2019, 2018, and he blew his load, and he's on a team that gets injured a lot. But Christian McCaffrey played 10 games in 2 seasons, in 2020, 2021. Had a good 2022, blew his load, and now he's sitting here at number 2 on the consensus. Yes, he's a good player, but he's on the 49ers, okay? They haven't even figured out their quarterback situation yet. Who is the starting quarterback? How is that going to translate? How is that going to gel with Christian McCaffrey? Is it going to be, I think Darnold is a 3rd stringer. Is it going to be Trey Lance? Is it going to be Purdy? We don't know. Okay? So at 1 and 2, these people are just copying and pasting last year. We have Ekeler and CMC on this list, okay? They're literally copying and pasting last year's finishers in an entirely new situation. Ekeler, again, Cinderella year. Don't even know what team he's going to be on. You know, they're definitely going to draft another running back, maybe at BIJAN Robinson or someone like that. I'm telling you right now, Ekeler is not going to be the solution, and neither is Christian McCaffrey, because I think he gets hurt again. And yes, injuries count. Let me tell you why injuries count. Jonathan Taylor was the number 1 consensus overall. I told you to avoid him last year. He got hurt last year, finished 33rd. If injuries didn't count, let's say they say injuries don't count, then why isn't Taylor number 1 again? Serious question. Drop it in the comments. He was sidelined due to injury, which affected his fantasy production. Same with Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's not number 1 right now. They were sidelined due to injury. But you're telling me injuries don't count. If injuries don't count, Cooper Kupp and Taylor should still be number 1 at their respective positions. Bottom line. So you guys are liars. Again, which is not a surprise. So, back to Ekeler and CMC. They blew their loads. I'm not touching these guys, and they're way too expensive. Give me Christian McCaffrey in the 4th round. I'll take him as an RB3. Not touch him. Ekeler, I wouldn't even touch him. You can give him to me in the 6th round. I don't want him on my team. Don't trust him. He's washed up, okay? Number 3 here, SAQUON. Now, this is funny because I've got their rankings here. Okay, I've actually got a magazine right here from last year, and I'm looking at SAQUON here. I'm trying to find out where he's ranked. He's actually ranked 17th. I don't know if you guys could see it here. I'm going to try to zoom in here. I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up. But he's actually 17th. He was outside the top 10 on all consensus rankings last year. Outside the top 10 on all consensus. I'm looking at it. They had DeAndre Swift ahead of him. I'm looking at it right now. They had Cam Akers ahead of him. Okay? They had Dalvin Cook ahead of him. Joe Mixon. Okay, Javonte Williams. James Conner, who was on a pinnacle year in 2021 ahead of SAQUON Barkley. Why'd they have Conner so high last year? Why'd they have him top 14? Because he had a 15-touchdown season the year before. But prior to that, he's never done that, okay? So, listen, I'm not telling you what I like here. I'm just breaking down how they came up with this list. It's copy and paste, okay? So they got SAQUON at 3. They got Taylor at 4. Why do they have Taylor at 4 when he finished 33rd, Joe? That's not copy and paste. It's called saving face. And they understand Taylor's good, but they just refuse to put him at number 1 because he didn't finish number 1. But they have to save face because they told you to draft the number 1 overall last year. And he's actually going to have a good year if he's healthy. So I actually like Taylor ahead of CMC at EKELER anyway. But that's besides the fact. I'm trying to make a point here. It's copy and paste, and wherever their golden boys are, they try to save face on that, okay? Derrick Henry, this was a guy they weren't crazy on. They had him 4 last year. I'm looking at it. But this is a guy that they've kind of like disrespected for years. I remember years ago they had Damian Williams ahead of Derrick Henry. Yes, this is a true story. I was the only one telling you Derrick Henry. I'm not here. Again, this video isn't about what I think. This is about what they've ranked, okay? Derrick Henry at number 5. They got Jacobs at 6. Jacobs is not typically a top 10 running back. He had a great year based on contract last year, okay? I'm looking at Jacobs and thinking, yeah, he could have another good year, but we have a new quarterback under center. And not to mention he was playing for a contract year. Now he's, I believe, been tagged. It's this one I'm a little fuzzy on because I've always seen Jacobs come off in the 3rd round, in and around with David Montgomery's of the world, okay? He's not a 1st-round pick, and that's where he's going, and I'm not going to pay that for a guy that I was always, for years, able to get in the 3rd or 4th round. So, for me, Jacobs is going to be a pass. He's overinflated, and he played his heart out last year because he was on a contract year. He will not hit those numbers. I don't see it. They got him at 5. But last year, Jacobs was nowhere to be seen in the top 10, was he? Where was Josh? Let's just talk about where Jacobs was last year. I've got him in the 20th. Got him right here, guys. Number 20 here. I don't know if you can see the magazine, but that is where Jacobs was last year. He was 20th, okay? So, again, it's the copying and pasting. He had a good year last year. Let's paste him over the top 10 because he finished top 10. And this is where, again, people fall into the trap, right? Jacobs finished 3rd last year, so they got him at 6. So they got to keep him in the top 10. Now, BIJAN Robinson at 7. First and foremost, I love BIJAN Robinson because I love rookies. I love upside. Now, a lot of this is predicated on where he lands, okay? This one I actually agree with, but I see him actually, depending on where he lands, finishing ahead of EKELER and CMC as well, and even Jacobs, if he lands on the right spot. So, again, they never used to do this, but they're kind of getting creative. They're realizing that, the mainstream are realizing, hey, we got to do something a little different here, because we don't want to copy and paste, so they're trying to be different. But to do this kind of before the NFL draft is a little crazy because we don't know where he's going to end up. Now, let's say he ends up with Austin Ekeler, the Chargers. Sure, top 10 because he's going to take over that job. Let's say if he ends, but that's where they're going to be stuck, right? Because both these guys are going to finish top 10. So what are they going to do with Ekeler if he ends up on the Chargers? This is where it's going to get interesting. So we don't know where BIJAN Robinson is going to end up. Once I find that out, that's when I lay out the 16-round draft solution and tell you exactly where to draft him. We're going to see where his ADP falls. You might want to get him before everyone else does, okay? I actually like that. This is crazy here at number 8, Tony Pollard. I looked at Tony Pollard's numbers. The first 3 years, first of all, he was a 4th-round pick in 2019. The first 3 years that he played, he had a combined 8 touchdowns. He had 9 touchdowns last year. Now, the Cowboys are used to having a workhorse running back in Zeke Elliott. Since he came out of the draft, he was the guy. Pollard, for years, has been dipping into his volume, and you saw the regression with Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott, from what I'm hearing, according to rumors, is frustrated he's not being picked up by another team, but that's not here nor there. The point I'm trying to make here is Tony Pollard is not a workhorse running back, okay? He is not a workhorse running back. He was a 4th-round pick 4 years ago. And if you think that he is going to be alone in that backfield, you are nuts. And that's where they've got him ranked. They've got him ranked here at number 8. Number 8, guys. Why? Because last year he finished, guess what? Number 8. So Pollard had a pinnacle year on a regression year for Zeke Elliott, and it's just not going to happen again. Unless for some reason he is the main workhorse running back, which again I don't see. They're going to draft somebody. I really believe the Cowboys get a BIJAN Robinson or someone like that, okay? But either way, Pollard top 10 is ludicrous. He's not a top 10 running back. He's not a full workhorse running back. And I cannot imagine that the Cowboys are going to have their lead back be a 4th-round pick from 4 years ago as their primary back. I don't see it. Yet the mainstream are copying and pasting last year's rankings, thinking Pollard's going to be a top 10. By the way, on this list, I don't see any Javonte Williams. I don't see any Breece Hall. There's probably other rookies, depending on where they land, could finish on top. I don't see any Dameon Pierce. They're just copying and pasting, okay? Number 9 here, Walker. I think Walker's actually higher than this. Walker's in a prime opportunity, young, talented, on offense that's going to give him the ball. Walker actually see higher than number 9. And again, what pisses me off about this list is when I look at the consensus rankings last year, which I've got in front of me, and I look, Rashad Penny was actually, I've got the magazine right here. You can look it up. Go back and look up. I don't know if there's a way you guys can look up old, ESPN rankings or whatever, consensus Chiefs rankings. But Rashad was 34 and Kenneth Walker was 37. So you're telling me that injuries don't, you can't count injuries, right? Rashad Penny got hurt. So if Rashad Penny got hurt, theoretically, shouldn't Rashad Penny be ranked ahead of Kenneth Walker? Because you guys said injuries don't count. You can't factor in injuries. You can't base a player's talent on injury. No, injuries don't matter. But they do. And that's what I've been teaching. Injuries do matter. So I look at this list. I see Kenneth Walker. But you guys, every one of you sheep told everybody last year that Rashad Penny was the guy. He was ahead of Kenneth Walker in a draft, except for me. And in 16-round drafts, which I warned against this. Penny gets hurt, loses his job. Walker steps up. Now he's top 10. It seems a little hypocritical, guys. It seems a little sketchy to me. So, again, guys, when you look at Kenneth Walker, I would definitely be like, yes, I like him, but the Chiefs have no business putting him in the top 10 whatsoever, okay? And then look at Ramondre Stevenson, and I'm seeing Ramondre here sitting at 10. Why? Because last year, Ramondre finished at round number 7 in PPR amongst running backs. This is a guy that's going to be on the worst team for fantasy. They always run a committee. They've already shown interest in BIJAN Robinson. I've heard this through talk that they are interested in BIJAN Robinson and another running back. You don't get rid of Harris and think, oh, Stevenson's the guy. This is not how the Patriots function. To have Stevenson in the top 10 is ludicrous. That's a direct copy and paste. And I've told you this for years. You always stay away from Patriots running backs. You do not draft, okay? So, again, looking at this list, a lot of copying and pasting. They're trying to be creative here with BIJAN, which I do like, but we have to know what team he lands on. Pollard, Stevenson, EKELER, and McCaffrey. I could definitely see all these guys busting completely out of this list. Jacobs is definitely going to see a regression. But, again, rankings won't help you win. That's the point I want to get across. Rankings won't help you win, and we don't really know till after the NFL draft how these rankings are going to fizzle out. So, again, I see this. I laugh every single year because it makes my job easier, and that's why I sell 16 rounds a lot. That's why I help people win, because a lot of people follow these rankings as a guideline to draft your team because they feel, oh, Stevenson's so, he's ranked so high, I got to draft him. Or last year, Penny, I got to draft him high. Not the case, guys. Not how you're going to win your leagues, okay? These rankings are BS. Do not follow them. Do not follow this advice. Get the 16-round draft solution. I've linked it below to smash your leagues, guys. Completely dominate. All right, guys? So, just want to have some fun here with you guys in the offseason. Laugh at some rankings. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like this list? Do you agree? Does my logic make sense? Again, none of this makes sense to me, okay? They're just saving face with guys like Taylor. They're copying and pasting. They're stealing my guy with Walker. It's disgusting, all right? Subscribe, thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think, and stop following the sheep. This is an absolute joke, all right, guys? Subscribe to this #1 fantasy football podcast. We'll talk soon. I'm out.